Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Deonte, and I'm back with some breaking news regarding WWE legend Hulk Hogan. WWE legend Hulk Hogan has passed away at age 71. Hulk Hogan, the immortal one, icon, WWE, WWF, WCW, dead at age 71 years old. Man. 71. And the internet is buzzing right now. Is being confirmed he passed away. I just know that yesterday it came out. Jimmy Hart, who was his manager, Jimmy Hart, that's his manager, did say that he was in bad shape. Shout out to Lord Tay. Yes, R.I.P. Hulk Hogan. R.I.P. Hulk Hogan was a big part of a lot of our childhoods. Anybody born in the 70s and the 80s that were wrestling fans, this hit hard for a lot of us. And we're gonna talk about a lot of this stuff, man. It hit hard for a lot of us that grew up as wrestling fans. I started watching wrestling when I was 3 years old. So to hear about this is like, man, a big part of everybody's childhood is just left today. And it's just been a hard week in entertainment, a hard week in the entertainment world where we lost some greats this week. You know, Theodore Huxtable, Malcolm Jamal Warner passed away. A lot of people who were Ozzy Osbourne fans. I wasn't an Ozzy Osbourne fan. He passed away. And today it's Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, legendary WWE wrestler, WWF, WCW, dead at age 71. And it's just sad news, man. It really is. A lot of people didn't like Hulk Hogan because of his latter years, post wrestling career. It came out that he had a lot of racist remarks or whatever, but if you separate the personal life to the wrestling life, he did a lot for WWE wrestling, a lot for WCW, a lot for WWF. Hulk Hogan took the wrestling world to a whole nother level. Once Hulk Hogan entered wrestling, it became a worldwide spectacle. A lot of people started paying attention. It was just the charisma that he brought to wrestling. He was larger than life, a larger than life icon, a larger than life legend. It was just something about Hulk Hogan. I remember watching him when I was a kid, and he was on the cereal boxes. I'm collecting all the cereal boxes and stuff, and eat your vitamins, say your prayers. That was a big part of our childhood, man. Hulk Hogan, Demolition, the Ultimate Warrior, the Big Boss Man, that generation of wrestlers, Macho King Randy Savage, King Kong Bundy. Man, it's hard to hear this kind of stuff, man. It's hard. And I want y'all thoughts on this. What are y'all feelings about the death of Hulk Hogan? I would like to have your input, Lord Tay. So in the chat, shout out to everybody in the chat today. As you come in, make sure you are tapping the like button. Make sure you tap the like button, double tap your screen if you watch it from your mobile phone, or just tap the like because we're going to talk about this. WWE legend Hulk Hogan, dead today at 71. He's had a lot of health problems here of recent too. He had several surgeries that failed, several surgeries that had failed, and he had a bad decline these last couple years, last couple months of his life. It's been a detrimental decline in his health, and it came out today that he suffered cardiac arrest. And a lot of these wrestlers have gone out by cardiac arrest. I remember yeah, thanks for your comment. Yeah, a lot of these wrestlers went out due to cardiac arrest. A lot of premature deaths in wrestling due to the steroid use, due to the long strenuous tours. I mean, they wrestle 260, almost 300 days a year, 300 nights a year, in and out, night in, night out. They on the road traveling. It's heavy travel. They using pain pills to manage the pain that they go through. It's tough, man, being a wrestler. It's tough, missing your family, the stress of that, the stress of the road, dealing with fans, signing autographs. It's a lot. Then going out there, and some of them wrestling two times a night, 2 times a day. And back then, when Hulk Hogan was in the game, back in the 80s, I mean, these guys was wrestling house shows two times a night, plus doing press tours. plus doing press tours, and then the steroid use. The steroid use in that era was crazy. So we're gonna talk about this today. Hulk Hogan was more than a wrestling legend. He was professional wrestling. Hulkamania. What are you gonna do, brother, when the Hulkamania runs wild all over you? Who remembers that? Hulk Hogan he was professional wrestling. Hulk Hogan was professional wrestling. Hulk Hogan will always be remembered for his mark that he left on professional wrestling. You understand? But it's tough, man. I mean, you think back on our childhoods, the classic matches that he put on. The Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, won WrestleMania 6, title for title. You think about that. You think about Macho King Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan for the title. WrestleMania 5, when Hulk Hogan won his second title, got his second title run. Him defeating Andre the Giant. It takes you back to a time where, they had 80,000 fans in the arena, 100,000 fans in arenas. This man could pack an arena. And let's not forget how he changed wrestling again in 1996. Bash at the Beach, the heel turn, Hulk Hogan's heel turn, where he dropped the leg drop on Macho Man Randy Savage and joined forces with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall to become the NWO. We're going to talk about all this on this live stream. As y'all come in, make sure y'all tap the like, leave your comments in the chat, share this, because we about to go in today about the legendary career of Hulk Hogan. The legendary career of Hulk Hogan and what he meant to professional wrestling. We about to definitely go in. From Hulkamania to Hollywood Hulk Hogan, his name alone defined a whole era. But behind all the bright lights, there were dark secrets. There was a lot of dark secrets he had, racial slurs, backstage beef. He had a lot of backstage beef going on, betrayals, and destroyed relationships. So we about to dive into all that, the life, career, the scandals, and we gonna dive into all of this. And I would like to have y'all thoughts as we dive into this live stream regarding Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania, Hollywood Hogan. A lot of y'all know him by different names. The Icon, Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying? Before it was The Rock, before it was John Cena, before Stone Cold Steve Austin, he was the one that defined an entire era of professional wrestling, Hulk Hogan. He built this industry. He built this entire industry on his back. Him and Vince McMahon single-handedly redefined professional wrestling. But even though he built the industry, he will also become one of the most hated wrestling figures of all time. Believe it or not. Terry Bollea was his name. Terry Bollea. He started out in Florida. He had an early run in AWA in Japan. Vince McMahon Sr., who was Vince McMahon's dad, gave him that name, Hulk Hogan. Vince McMahon Sr. gave him that name, Hulk Hogan. He started off in the regular white tights. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Lord Tay. I got a chance to see him in the ring. I seen him face off against Ric Flair when he joined TNA. It was a nice match. You seen him, DT. You went to TNA with me, DT. DT, you went to TNA wrestling with me. You probably too young to remember, but we went to TNA wrestling together, and we seen Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. You probably don't remember it. He had the knee braces on. He wasn't wearing the red and yellow though. He had on a white cutoff tee with the jeans, and Ric Flair they was bleeding all over each other. You probably don't remember that. You seen him in the ring, DT. You seen Hulk Hogan wrestle. That was the only time I got a chance to see Hulk Hogan wrestle, was in TNA. I didn't get to see the WWF and the WCW years in person. You know what I'm saying? I always went to WWF events when they would bring them to the Gardens, but I never got a chance to see WCW when he wrestled for WCW, or even when he came back to WWE, I had kind of toned down on it because they combined. You remember, a lot of y'all that come in here remember when Vince McMahon brought out WCW and all the wrestlers came over there. They combined ECW, WWF, and WCW all together, and it was just a big ass mess to my opinion. There was just too much going on, too many wrestlers to push. In my opinion, I was a fan of WCW. That was where the big boys play. That's what Dusty Rhodes said. This is where the big boys play, and that was indeed true. A lot of people, when they ran through their WWF career, would go over to WCW because it was just a more relaxed schedule. Everybody got a push. Everybody got an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? If y'all remember back at WrestleMania, what was that, WrestleMania 2? He slammed Andre the Giant. That was a career-defining moment for Hulk Hogan. In Hulkamania, the birth of Hulkamania, it meant a lot to the 1980s era. It meant a lot to the 1980s era. Like I said, he wasn't just a wrestler. He was a superhero, large in life, a working class American. But with great fame comes bigger ego. And there ain't no secret. Hulk Hogan had a huge ego. You know what I'm saying? You think back to Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, WrestleMania 3, excuse me. Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man, Mega Powers. That they eventually became the Mega Powers. That was a hell of a team, the Mega Powers with Queen Elizabeth. You know what I'm saying? Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 6, one of the greatest matches of all time. Greatest match of I go back and still watch that match. Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan, title for title. Man, if y'all ever get a chance, go on YouTube that Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, WrestleMania 6. One of the greatest matches of all time. Greatest matches of all time. Now, later in life, the Ultimate Warrior joined WCW in 1998 as the Warrior. And they had a rematch between them, and that rematch, it wasn't shit. It wasn't shit. But if y'all remember, Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter, another wrestling icon, Sergeant Slaughter, the patriotism era. This was back in a time where we were in the Gulf War. So it was an interesting storyline because Sergeant Slaughter had turned heel and joined up with the Iron Sheik and a couple of other guys. They was representing Iraq, and they went against them or whatever. It was just, this man had a way of doing stuff. You feel me? Then they had Hogan versus Rock, WrestleMania 18, pass the torch to the Rock. The in-ring storytelling between these guys, especially with Hulk Hogan, was theatrical, yes. But Hogan, he knew how to sell on emotion. You felt every punch. You felt every leg drop. You felt every kick out. I mean, this guy would no sell of your finisher like no other. The Tombstone Power Driver. No selling the elbow drop from Macho Man in WrestleMania 2. He kicked right out of that. And, Hulk Hogan get on those knees and start shaking that head. You punch him, he's shaking that head. He get up and start walking around the ring, shaking that head. You hit him on the back, and he impervious to all those moves. That was our era. That was our era. Great matches. Look, the Ultimate Warrior right here. If you look on the left side of the screen, Andre the Giant. These were some of the most classic displays of showmanship to ever embrace a wrestling ring. If you had the honor of watching a match from the 80s, man, you were blessed because the 80s era of wrestling defined wrestling. Larger than life, the gimmicks, it pure entertainment. Kids would be glued to the TV. I remember every WrestleMania, every Survivor Series. I would be over at my cousin Jeremy's house, right? My cousin Jeremy, my cousin Derek Turnbull was still alive. Over there with Aunt Maddie, my cousin Diane, and my cousin Yank. Yank, pure wrestling fan, still now in age 50. You know what I'm saying? But we will be in front of every WrestleMania, every Survivor Series. We was there in front of the TV, eyes glued. Pure entertainment. The Saturday night main events, eyes glued to the TV. DT, I don't know if you remember, but you seen Hulk Hogan in the ring. I took you to TNA Wrestling, and he fought Ric Flair. You probably too young to remember, but he fought Ric Flair. He fought Ric Flair. It was he couldn't really move around that good. It wasn't nothing crazy. It was a lot of punches, a lot of they was hitting the ropes a lot, but Yeah, you seen that match between him and Ric Flair. They took place down at the what was that? The Coliseum down at downtown. I don't know. I can't remember the name of it now. They changed that name so many times down there, but we went downtown and seen that match. But you're probably too young to remember that. But yeah, yeah, devastating news regarding Hulk Hogan. Devastating news today. A lot of people had their opinions. A lot of people thought he was a piece of shit. But if you separate the personal life from the professional life, I'm looking at more. We looking at the professional life too today. The contribution he made to pro wrestling. You know, a lot of there was a lot of backstage politics and surrounding Hulk Hogan. Yeah. It was a long time ago, DT. It was a long time ago. But you was a kid. You had to be about 2 or 3, and I took you down there, you and your brother, and we watched Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. AJ Styles was wrestling back then. AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle was. I believe Kurt Angle had joined TNA around that time, but I took y'all as kids to see that that wrestling event. And shout out to my son DT. He always in the live stream, supporting the live streams. If y'all watch the replay, make sure y'all shout out my son DT, Lower Tay. What's up, kid? Love you, boy. But yeah, there was a lot of backstage politics and real life feuds surrounding Hulk Hogan. It was a lot of people, a lot of his colleagues said that it was a lot of backstage politics. He had a lot of control over creative decisions. A lot of wrestlers didn't get that push that they deserve due to Hulk Hogan. DJ, you crazy. A lot of wrestlers didn't get that push they deserve. It was a lot of creative control between Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, Kevin Nash. They had a lot of creative control over a lot of the wrestlers getting pushed, and that was where a lot of the backstage feuds and real life feuds came in. All the backstage politics. A lot of people weren't getting that push that they deserve. I can think back to a lot of those wrestlers back then that deserved major pushes. And I was very disappointed they didn't get the pushes that they needed, especially in the WCW time. I think about wrestlers like Hugh Morris that deserved a bigger push. I think about wrestlers like Raph and Mortis that deserve bigger pushes. Brian Adams deserved bigger pushes. It's a lot of big men in WWE, I mean WCW that deserve pushes, but Hulk Hogan had a lot of creative control back then. It was a lot of jealousy between Bret Hart, Randy Savage, and even Shawn Michaels when he was in WWF. You know, so the WCW era, he used a lot of his creative control to bury a lot of talent. That's what they call it, burying talent. A lot of talent got buried back then. It was rumors of how he held stars back like Booker T, Billy Kidman, and even Sting. If y'all remember when he entered WCW and became a heel, Sting went silent. Sting just kind of walked out on WCW. It was part of the storyline, but a lot of that stuff was probably real life tension in that era. Sting, he came back into black and white. This is when the NWO had took over. NWO, in my opinion, if they would have kept that thing going in the right direction, because it kind of went to shit back then, but if they would have kept the NWO going in a different direction, they would have had a longer run, because they was destroying WWF and ratings. They was destroying WF because Eric Bischoff pushed the limit. He would come out there and cut a promo and basically give away everything that was going to happen over at WWF to keep the audience tuned in over at WCW Nitro. Nitro was running 3 hours, and it was 3 hours of pure entertainment. WCW kept you entertained, and Hulk Hogan was a part of all that. WCW kept you entertained for 3 hours. Nitro, when it went 3 hours, I'm telling you, I was tuned in to Nitro. I wasn't worried about no WWF. I still wasn't even rocking with the Attitude Era. Like a lot of people was rocking with the Attitude Era. It just WWF was too. To me, it was watered down. It was watered down. It was too animated for me. But WCW, I got that real life feeling where the big boys played, where the legends was at. That's why I rocked with WCW back then. There was a lot of the big boys was over there. You feel me? Make sure you tap the like as you come in. Make sure you tap the like as you come in. It's your boy Deonte Lamar, Deonte Lamar TV. We are discussing the death of Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania, did at age 71, cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest for Hulk Hogan, legendary wrestler, WWE, WCW. I mean, he put at least 40 years into wrestling. He gave 40 years of his life to the fans, to a lot of diehard wrestling fans. This is the home for a lot of diehard wrestling fans. The death of Hulk Hogan hit hard today. Fans are in disbelief, but Bubba Love Sponge was trying to tell y'all something. If y'all remember back about a month ago, Bubba Love Sponge was trying to tell y'all that Hulk Hogan wasn't in good shape. He was trying to tell you that Hulk Hogan was not in good. He was not in good shape. He had a lot of surgeries that had affected his health. You know what I'm saying? And today is announced that he passes away. Because last night I was just watching some of the Hulk Hogan, just highlights, replays. It was having to come up in my feed. I would have never thought today I would be reporting that Hulk Hogan, legendary wrestling icon, passed away. I would never have thought that. You know, it's crazy. And Hulk Hogan had, the heel turn at the Bash the Beach is what really redefined wrestling. That whole NWO era, the NWO takeover. But that build up, if y'all think back from that build up, Hall Nash was saying we got a third man. You got Bobby the Brain Heenan and Tony Schiavone on the announcing group. Who was that third man? Who was that third man? So they was getting the best of Macho Man Randy Savage. And out comes the third man. Hulk Hogan come out like he about to take up for Randy Savage. And all of a sudden he hits the ropes and legs drops Randy Savage. That place erupted at Bash the Beach. Erupted. People throwing all types of cups. People was pissed at Hulk Hogan. I couldn't believe it. The NWO took over, changed wrestling forever. It changed wrestling forever. It blurred the lines between reality and fiction. They could spray paint people. You got new members be getting revealed. People pulling up in limousines every week. Every time a limousine pulled up, people was wondering who the hell is it this week. People was glued to the TV to see who the hell is going to show up and join the NWO this week. A lot of heel turns. Lex Luger, heel turn. Macho Man eventually joined the NWO. They had it was 30 members deep at one point for the NWO. Everybody had joined the NWO. Merchandise was flying off the shelves when people was joining the NWO. What's up? What's up, lady? What is going on? Welcome to the channel. I never seen you before. Where you from? Lady or something underscore lady. Where you from? Let me know where you from. Yeah, we talking about the death of Hulk Hogan. He passed away today at age 71. Don't know if you are part of that wrestling, the wrestling industry or whatever. If you follow professional wrestling, but I followed it since I was 3. But yeah, Hulk Hogan passed away today at age 71, cardiac arrest. I know his friend Jimmy Hart. If everybody remember Jimmy Hart, he was the guy with the long hair with the big glasses that would walk around with the bullhorn. He was Hulk Hogan's manager for a while. He announced that he wasn't looking. Just yesterday, he said Hulk Hogan was not looking too good at all. He had a trachea in his throat, and some went wrong. I don't know what happened, but it was a lot of damage. He couldn't even speak no more. He was bed bound. I was hearing it was a rumor that came out a month ago that he was brain dead. It was just a lot of stuff. But we talking about the era of the NWO, how it changed professional wrestling forever. It was a TV ratings war. It was a ratings war between WWF and WCW because they was kicking WWF's ass. They was kicking their ass, kicking ass. WCW, I think that was an 18-month run, 18 months, a year and 6 months, to where they just totally obliterated WWF in ratings. You know, that version of Hulk Hogan was raw, edgy, dangerous. It was actually revealed who he really was. If y'all think about it, Hulk Hogan behind the scenes, he was caught up in a whole lot of scandals. The Gawker sex tape scandal, if y'all remember that. Audio leak of the racial slurs, and I'm gonna play that here shortly. There was an audio leak that came out of Hulk Hogan using racial slurs. It was a audio leak of him using racial slurs talking to his daughter, Brooke Hogan, and he used the N word, and he was very apologetic about it, but it is what it is, you know. I'm playing that now. Yeah, you can't really hear it, but he did come out and ask for apologies from the fans. He did come back and ask for forgiveness for what he had said. You know, it takes a lot to admit when you're wrong. At least he took accountability for it. He came back and apologized when he did go off on the racial slur rant. You know, when he went off on a racist rant or whatever, he did come back and apologize. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just a lot. You know, this man, like I said, he changed the way wrestling was viewed worldwide. He made wrestling an internationally respected sports entertainment field for everybody. He gave sports entertainment a new look. But we finna talk. We gonna listen to what he said about the racist rant.
Out of everything that I've been through, this one hit me probably the hardest, and that's a something I feel great.
Including an admission of steroid use and his son's legal issues. But last month, a new controversy which threatens to erase his legacy. The National Enquirer reports that Hogan used racial slurs in audio secretly recorded.
I was at the lowest point of my life. My first life was destroyed. I was very mad at my daughter. I was upset over a situation that happened between her and her boyfriend. And I had no idea I was being taped. I was to the point where I sat in my bathroom by myself when my ex-wife was gone, the kids were gone, and I completely destroyed. What's the easiest way out of this? I mean, I was lost.
You were suicidal.
Yes, I was. But
He had a lot going on. Behind the scenes, Hulk Hogan had a lot going on. But I don't. It's still not an excuse for the racist stuff that he said. Still wasn't no excuse. And I really, just me looking at that now and being older, seeing this now, I really didn't believe him. Just me looking at that, and he didn't really take full accountability. He made it about him again. Just me looking at that, I'm like, I really didn't believe that. You know what I'm saying? He made it about himself once again. He made it about himself. You know, that was a big problem that a lot of people had with Hogan. He made a lot of stuff about him. You know, especially with the you know, holding wrestlers back, especially a lot of black wrestlers fuck with Hulk Hogan. Mark Henry, he didn't really have nothing nice to say about Hulk Hogan. Titus O'Neil, New Day, a lot of black wrestlers didn't fuck with Hulk Hogan. You know, that reporter was right. They almost destroyed his entire career because WWE ended up terminating all ties to him in 2015. They end up taking the Hall of Fame away. They end up taking everything related to the Hulk Hogan. They took away. They didn't want no connections to Hulk Hogan after that. Even after he built that company, even after he carried that company on his back for many years, and every contribution he made to pro wrestling, a lot of WWE cut off ties related to Hulk Hogan. You know, but he did do a public apology and he stated into the WWE Hall of Fame. Um, but if you think about it, This was the moment that the world saw the real Terry Bollea, not Hulk, not the man behind the bandana. You know, and that it just wasn't good look. Even now, like even when he made his last appearance, he got booed out the damn arena. I felt kind of bad for Hulk Hogan, man, because I'm like, damn, they just booed this man. But a lot of it probably came from the support for Kamala Harris. I mean, Donald Trump and the remarks he made against Kamala Harris and a lot of stuff he was saying. He came out and said to a whole bunch of Republicans one day when Trump was running for president, do y'all want me to body slam Kamala Harris? Do y'all want to see me leg drop Kamala Harris? Would y'all like to see that? And he said some other stuff like, "What race is she a chameleon?" But this is the kind of shit that started to pretty much destroy his legacy and pretty much destroy what Hulkamania, Hulk Hogan stood for. His support for Trump, the racist rants, a lot of the, when the internet came out, when people was able to express themselves on YouTube, Twitter, all that shit, and a whole bunch of these African American wrestlers and other wrestlers that was missing out on the opportunities, missing out on their pushes, started expressing how they were held back by Hulk Hogan because he had a lot of creative control. A lot of fans started to open up their eyes to that, and a lot of fans stopped rocking with Hulk Hogan. Even a friend of mine today, I sent him the message on Facebook Messenger, and his reply was, I said, he's gone. He said, yeah, I saw American beer, bitch. I couldn't believe that. I could not believe that. Like, a lot of people really didn't fuck with Hulk Hogan. A lot of people really didn't fuck with Hulk Hogan because of the shit that came out. You know, the worst thing, people start recording. Yeah, DJ, that's crazy. I started to get bits and pieces of it, over the years when the whole thing with Brooke Hogan came out with him saying that shit. They're all N words. They're N words. I can't really get the audio pulled all the way up like that. But when I heard that, I started looking at him sideways too. Like, damn, this how he really been feeling. And he's a lot of black wrestling. He wrestled a lot of African American wrestlers. Something else I'm gonna share with y'all real quick, like I got y'all here. He said it to Tony, what was his name? To Tony Atlas. It was wild. He said some shit to Tony Atlas. And I was like, well, damn, that's how he really feel. Yep, it was wild. But we about to he said to Tony Atlas, and it was unbelievable what was being said. To this real quick, a second while I pull this up. But I was like, damn, was that how he really felt in that moment when all this was going on? This was what this was in the beginning days of WWEF. This man, the son to Vince McMahon Senior. You know what I'm saying? And, yeah, I couldn't believe what I heard what he said to Tony Atlas. But then Tony Atlas did come back later, like to say he wasn't a racist. Standing right here, and I came out to show all my fans enough of this brown clown here. A brown clown. He called him a brown clown. Anything that you can do, I can do better. I tell you what, boy, anytime you want to bust out, anytime you want to get on the stage with me, or get in that ring, boy, I'm ready for you. That's all you can do is shine my shoes. You know what? That was racist as hell. Only thing you can do is shine my shoes, boy. Wow, nasty work. Like I said, a lot of this shit, yeah, we wasn't paying attention that whole time. We wasn't paying attention that whole time to a lot of shit. But Tony Atlas did come back and say this.
This is Tony, Mr. USA Atlas. And I want to say, when I first started in the wrestling business, and Tony, if you have one fight, when you leave this business, consider yourself lucky. I had several friends, and one of my most dear friends
or Hulk Hogan. And you know, all of us right now, we live in high on the home. Everybody making a lot of money because of the foundation that Hulk Hogan lays all of us. Hulk is no racist. He's one of the nicest people that I or you or America ever know to me. Give the guy a break. Give him a chance. He's a good man.
And that was coming from Tony Atlas, a black wrestler himself, legendary black wrestler, Tony Atlas. A lot of people probably don't remember who Tony Atlas was, but like I said, I followed wrestling, but that's just one, you know. But the stuff I heard Mark Henry say, a lot of stuff I heard from other sources in wrestling, he was holding a lot of people back. It was a lot of missed opportunities due to Hulk Hogan failing to take a back seat because he's still on the limelight. And I see it a lot with these older wrestlers. They still hang around long beyond their years. And a lot of the younger talent doesn't get to push the data of it. You know, he had a lot of bot surgeries. Hulk Hogan had 25 plus back surgeries. This man went through 25 back surgeries, and they were all fucked up. You know, he had strange relationships with fellow wrestlers. Macho Man was one of them, and Macho Man ended up passing away. Sad, you know, something related to his heart too. And, you know, this wrestling thing, man. I see a lot of these people, a lot of these wrestlers was going through a lot of premature death. A lot of people contributed to steroid use, drug use. A lot of people contributed it to steroid use and drug use. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna go over this, man, because a lot of them had a lot of heart failure and heart issues because steroids, I heard, affects the heart. You know what I'm saying? But, there was a lot of professional wrestlers that went away due to that. You know? Yeah, I'm looking at this list, and it's crazy. A lot of them had head injuries, a lot of trauma to their bodies, a lot of unalive and self deletion. You know, it's wild. Yeah, it's a lot of. I'm looking at this list. I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. Um, I know that one wrestler from Legion of Doom, Hulk. He passed away from that. From I believe it was like the steroid use, the steroid use or drug use and all that. It's just it's sad, man. It's sad. They used to have a list. It was like 40 something wrestlers on there. It was like 40 something wrestlers on that list. Yeah, the Ultimate Warrior was one of them. The Ultimate Warrior, he passed away from that. Yeah, steroids use in wrestling, DT Forte, um, was real heavy in wrestling. You know, a lot of them was trying to keep up with the image. A lot of them wanted to look good. They wanted to be the champion. They wanted to have that body because you know back in the '80s, the bigger man was pushed. The big, you know, the more fit, more big. You know, nowadays, you know, you can have a smaller wrestler like the Jeff Hardys, the smaller champions like the Jeff Hardys, the CM Punks, the Shawn Michaels or whatever. But back in the '80s era, they wanted you had to be big. You had to look like something. You had to look like something to be on WWF TV. Because Vince McMahon would give you that push if you didn't look like that. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them wrestlers is just trying to look like something to make sure they maintain their push. A lot of them was trying to keep up with the image. A lot of image. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was talking about the other day. A lot of people just wanted to have that look. Without that look, you really didn't get a push like that. You feel me? So yeah, a lot of drug overdoses. A lot of drug overdoses contributed to a lot of these wrestlers being out of here, getting out of here early. Drug overdoses, self deletion. Can't say the S word on here, but yeah, a lot of drug overdose. Lance Cade, um, Chris Taylor, um, Crash Holly, Chris Candido. These were all wrestlers that were very young. Yokozuna was young. Kerry Von Erich was young. Owen Hart was very young, but it was not related to steroid use. Monica was very young. Eddie Guerrero was very young. Davey Boy Smith, Bulldog, was young. Um, Bray Wyatt, young. It is sad, man, when you think about that. Now, Hulk Hogan did make it to be, 70 some years old, 71 years old, but maybe he could have lived longer. I don't know. You just know, I don't want to go into that too much, but it's a lot, man. It's a lot. But in his later years, he was isolating. He had a lot of health issues. A lot of lawsuit settlements was drying up his money. Um, he had tabloids reporting that he was wheelchair bound. You know what, DK? That comment you just said. I look at some of these wrestlers now, like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I look at Randy Orton. A lot of these guys have gotten a lot bigger. A lot of these guys have gotten a lot bigger. It doesn't look natural. If you look at Dwayne The Rock Johnson, it doesn't look natural. I'm not saying anything that he's using. I don't know if he's using anything, but it doesn't look natural. It don't. When you look at The Rock, when you look at Randy Orton, when you look at even CM Punk came back a little bit bigger. CM Punk is a lot bigger than what he normally would be in a ring. AJ Styles, he is ripped like never before. AJ Styles at his age that he had is ripped, very ripped, and it doesn't look natural. I've never seen AJ Styles in that type of shape. So I don't know. I'm not accusing nobody of nothing, but I don't think a lot of this stuff is natural. Just looking at a lot of the wrestlers' appearance now that um, it's under new management and under new leadership, and there's a lot of different ways to get around a lot of the usage. I think I don't know. I don't know, DJ, because you said I hope it's the food they eat. I don't know because it just don't look natural. It really don't. I was just looking at some of these wrestlers recently. I'm like, that don't look natural. It was kind of scary to look at some of these guys. I'm like, I remember when they was a lot smaller. Even Randy Orton. If you look at Randy Orton from 2016, 2017, he was a lot smaller. But Randy Orton now, dude is huge. He came back with a lot more muscle mass. CM Punk came back with a lot more muscle mass, and I was like, damn, like what are they doing? But it is what it is. You know, but back to Hogan, a lot of fans start calling him out on his hypocrisy. He lost a lot of fan base in his last days. This is an example of what does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? What does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? You understand? You can have the whole world with you one day, and then the next, everybody turn their back on you. That's what I felt Hulk Hogan went through. It was like all these demons, all this stuff that he had did behind the scenes, backstage, all these severed relationships, a lot of the lies that had came out that he was telling. It all caught back up to him, especially with the George Foreman grill situation. He said he was proposed the George Foreman grill first before George Foreman proposed the idea to promote the George Foreman grill. They said it was going to be the Hulk Hogan grill. But the person who created the George Foreman grill said, I never talked to Hulk Hogan about it. So a lot of the lies that he was telling was being brought to the light. And a lot of people really start turning their backs in. You know, it's one thing to be canceled by media, right? But when your own locker room turn their back on you, you've lost everything. Just like he said, he was in the bathroom when his wife left, when relationship with his daughter, whatever she had going on. He was in the bathroom just looking for a way out because the world can come crashing in all at once. The world can come crashing in all at once. And that's kind of like what happened in his last days. The botched surgery, the difficulties recovering after the surgery. When you have been abusing steroids for many years, if you have a lot of steroid abuse after so many years, that catches up with you. Even drug use after so many years will catch up with you. If you're using cocaine, I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, if you're using any kind of drugs that that can stimulate the heart or whatever, it can do a lot of damage to you, especially if you drink it too. A lot of these guys are severe alcoholics dealing with life on the road. Dealing with life on the road is difficult for a lot of these guys. Dealing with life on the road is difficult. Being away from family, being away from friends, and missing their wives and stuff. So they turn to a lot of things to cope with that, and it can end up being long term effects on you in the future. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Hulk Hogan, legendary WWE, WCW wrestler, gone at age 71. He passed away of cardiac arrest. He had launched the American beer brand. Now, I don't know if that was going too well because I just don't know. He was promoting that, but people weren't rocking with that either. He came to Cincinnati last year. I did a story on this on my channel. See, a lot of y'all don't be tapped into my channel like y'all supposed to. I did a huge story about this that kind of went under the wraps, where it was a local what they call it, activist, Nathaniel Livingston, ended up being arrested at a Hulk Hogan event where he was promoting the American beer. He got arrested and roughed up by security. It wasn't even police. It was just security that was there, and they roughed him up all because he had signs out. You know what I'm saying? People out there in that neighborhood were calling him all types of N-word too. And he was just there to protest the American beer brand because of what Hogan had said about Kamala Harris and all the other racist stuff he had been saying. You know what I'm saying? So he was just out there to protest, and he ended up getting roughed up really, really bad out there. And I did a story on that. You know what I'm saying? But Hulk Hogan did make an attempt to rebuild his reputation through podcasts, through interviews, through social media. I would never forget the infamous Ultimate Warrior DVD they released back in 2006, where he was a big part of burying the Ultimate Warrior's legacy. Him and a bunch of other wrestlers were really like burying this guy. They made him look like a fool, and it hurt. That broke the Ultimate Warrior's heart. It really broke his heart to where he didn't even want to be around nobody. But they came back and redid that DVD. We did a whole nother series for the Ultimate Warrior years later, like 2013, 2014, right before his death. And Hulk Hogan had nothing but nice things to say, but it goes to show the hypocrisy of Hulk Hogan. It goes to show the hypocrisy of wrestling in the wrestling world. How 1 minute everybody with you, and the next ain't nobody rocking with you for real. But it broke the Ultimate Warrior's heart. But the thing was, it was a beautiful moment backstage at the Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2014, where Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior embraced in the hallway. They made up. They made up. He made up with all those wrestlers that he had something against. They all made up. They grabbed each other and they hugged. That was a beautiful, defining moment. And 2-3 days later, Ultimate Warrior was dead after that. Dead. But he made amends with all those people that had something against him. That was a sad situation too. He was another one of cardiac arrest. He was with his daughters and his wife, and this happened. You know, but he did try to rebuild his reputation through podcasts, interviews, social media. He made a lot of public appearances, but he appeared to be frail, very tired, and barely recognizable in some of these final public appearances. You know, do y'all think he is a legend or a fallen icon? That's what I want to know. Do y'all think he's a legend or a fallen icon? You know, it's crazy how culture shifted from Hulkamania to accountability. It's crazy how the culture shifted from Hulkamania to accountability. You understand? You know, I want to take a moment to say rest up to Hulk Hogan, regardless of what things he may have done. Nobody was there in his final days, his final moments. I hope he asked for forgiveness. He repented of all his sins, repented of any kind of things, any kind of transgressions he caused in this. Thank you, DT. DT said he's a legend. I believe he's a legend as well. Regardless of all that stuff that went on, he's a human being. And I want to say rest in peace. And I want to extend to the family, like truly, from the bottom of my heart, I want to extend my condolences to Terry Bollea's family. He was a legend. He was a part of a lot of our childhood. Regardless of what any of y'all say, he was a huge part of our childhood. Anybody from the 70s and the 80s era, we know who the hell Hulk Hogan was. I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss the entertainer Hulk Hogan. I'm going to miss Hulk Hogan make appearances. I'm going to miss the confrontations he had, even in his post-retirement when he would make little guest appearances. I missed the being on the edge of my seat, wondering if we're gonna see Hulk Hogan get in a physical altercation in the ring. Like, we're gonna see one more leg drop or one more kick. We're gonna see one more thing. But I'm gonna miss that Hulk Hogan, that version of Hulk Hogan, the one that made the kid in me come back just temporarily. I won't, however, miss the controversy, the racism, the stuff that came out. You know, everybody's entitled to their own belief system. Everybody's entitled to think how they want to think and believe what they want to believe. But when you have a platform as big as you have, and when people looked at you as a hero, when you carried a company, a worldwide global company in WWF, WWE, WCW, you have to be an example. You have to lead that example. And you have to know when to step aside and let the other one shine. That's like me being a 40-year-old rapper still. And it's all these young kids up here trying to come up and do their thing. Or I see it in YouTube too. A lot of YouTubers won't even shout you out. They see you in their chat, they won't give you a shout out. But they big YouTubers, whatever. Like it ain't nothing wrong with just saying, yeah, salute to so make sure y'all check out the channel. What's wrong with that? So in a lot of environments like this, you have older people, older veterans that refuse to step aside and let other people get their shot. You know, but it is what it is, man. Let me know what y'all think about this. You know, Hulk Hogan's story it's both a warning and it's legendary. He built an empire based off his charisma and burned it down with pride. Pride is a man's greatest downfall. You know, he did teach a generation how to believe in heroes. And in the end, showed us how even heroes can fall. Even a hero can fall. With all the stuff that happened throughout his career with the Trump support, the comments he made toward Brooks, situation he had with the N-word and all the stuff that came out with him pulling wrestlers back. This shows how somebody's legacy can be ruined forever. Do y'all think his legacy is ruined forever, or do you think through death that he will be forgiven and people will really look at the contributions he made to pro wrestling? You know, he had a great acting career as well. I don't believe his legacy is ruined, but I believe that people should get. I believe a lot of people gonna be. I don't know. Some people might feel bad about the way they booed him out the arena on his one of his last appearances. He got booed out the arena. A lot of people gonna probably feel like shit for booing that man. Then a lot of people were gonna say good riddance. A lot of people gonna say, "Oh, I don't give a fuck," but I care. I like Hulk Hogan. I was a fan of Hulk Hogan. Wasn't a fan of the hypocrisy, the lies, but I love the character Hulk Hogan. But the man Terry Bollea, I don't know the man. I like the character Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying? I want y'all to share y'all thoughts, about Hulk Hogan in the comments. in the comment section below. Let me know. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want to donate to the channel, it's much appreciated because this is a lot of work putting this kind of stuff together and expressing myself on screen. If y'all want to send a $5 super chat, get your name shouted out on screen on my next live stream or my next video. I will shout you out if y'all want to send a $5 super chat or any kind of chat. I don't care if it's $1.99. You know, just I like to have people show their appreciation. I like to know that I'm doing is something that I'm supposed to be doing up here doing this content. Or just leave me a comment or just tap the like button. Drop your favorite Hulk Hogan match or your favorite Hulk Hogan moment down in the comment section. You know what I'm saying? Drop your favorite Hulk Hogan moment. And DT, I really wish that you could think back to when I took you out to see wrestling. Me and Tate, we went out and seen the TNA wrestling. Hulk Hogan was there. We see him in one of his final matches against Ric Flair. And Ric Flair is another icon, another wrestling icon. But it's been a crazy week, man. And it's just Thursday. I pray that everybody is safe. I pray that everybody's checking up on their health. I pray that everybody's eating right, getting the proper rest, and not stressing yourself out. And I just pray that we all, you know, remember Hulk Hogan, the legend. Hulk Hogan, the legend. Let's take Terry Bollea out of the equation. And let's just remember Hulk Hogan, the immortal Hulk Hogan, for the contributions he made to pro wrestling. Let's remember the legendary moments like the NWO rise of the NWO from 1996 Bash at the Beach, a moment that redefined pro wrestling, a moment that changed pro wrestling forever. WCW 1996 Bash at the Beach, NWO. Let's remember the iconic Andre the Giant Slam. Let's remember the iconic title for title Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan WrestleMania 6. Let's remember the Mega Power. Let's remember Survivor Series, Hulk Hogan versus The Undertaker. Let's remember those moments that defined Hulk Hogan. Let's remember No Holds Barred, Hulk Hogan versus Zeus. Let's remember when Rocky Balboa and Thunderlips went at it in the Rocky movie, Rocky 3 that was. Let's remember those moments. Hulk Hogan, what was the movie he made? I can't remember that one movie. It was a pretty good movie. I think it was I can't remember. It was one with the Undertaker was in it. I can't remember the name of that movie. Anybody remember the name of that movie? Put it in the chat. The movie where he was like from space or something like that. I remember he played Mr. Nanny or something like that. But it was another movie where he was from space and he was going up to the Undertaker. The Undertaker actually was in that movie. If anybody can remember the name of that movie, type it in the chat. The name of that movie that Hulk Hogan, Suburban Commando. Suburban Commando. Was he in Three Ninjas too, y'all? Put that in the chat. Was Hulk Hogan in Three Ninjas? Because he had an amazing movie career. Let's remember the iconic matches between him and Sting. Starrcade 1996. Sting versus Hulk Hogan. Starrcade when Sting dethroned Hulk Hogan from the World Championship. Let's remember Goldberg versus Hulk Hogan, where he defeated Hogan for the WCW Championship on Monday Nitro. Moments like that is what we should be remembering. Moments like that is what I would like to remember Hulk Hogan for. Hollywood Hogan. Shawn Michaels. Look at that. The Shawn Michaels match between him and Hogan. A hell of a match. I mean, they gave each other a run for their money. He was still able to put on top tier matches. The man himself, Hulk Hogan. So let me know y'all thoughts on this. Hulk Hogan, wrestling icon, WWE legend, WCW legend. Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, dead at 71. Yeah, Three Ninjas at High Noon Mountain, I think. Yeah, you're right, DT. Yep, you're right. I thank everybody who came into the chat. Shout out to my son, Lord Tay. Shout out to my son, Lord Tay. I love you, man. I appreciate you being here. Shout out to Lady D or Lady D. Thank you and welcome to the channel. Shout out to everybody else that came in and dropped off. If you like the content, if you like the stories I cover everything on this channel. I cover everything on every topic. If you like my content, make sure you subscribe to the channel And also, donations are welcome to the channel. Donations are always welcome. I appreciate it. It's a lot of hard work. Salute to everybody. This is your boy Deonte. I'm out. RIP to Hulk Hogan.
Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Donations can be made to the Cash App. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Beat by Apollo, stop at New Apollo's. Cop a Henny sour, and I'm puffing Jack Sour. Yeah, I feel a black power. Yeah, this time is really ours. It's time to get the bag. Yeah, it's time to get the bag. Yeah, yeah. Dollars coming, let me see it. Multi-million, I'm a bid. On a mission, best believe it. Ask for it, you receive it. Dollars coming, let me see it. Multi-million, I'm a bid. On a mission, best believe it. Ask for it, you receive it. Ask for it, you receive it. Got it locked, put the key in. Got them looking, yeah, they praying. She like, I like what I'm seeing. Now we up, they agreeing. Play full, yeah, we eating. Now you can't ignore this feeling when you got it from him seeing. Why these built in? If I love, why you cheating? She know that I'm never leaving. They want beef, but they vegan. I don't know.